Right, we're gonna get started with our little meeting right here. Would you go ahead and sign in for attendance? We had Coach Armstrong get called to an ARD, so we were supposed to have two, but now we only have one. So we got Coach Chacon with us, and I'm Mr. Stevens, so I'll be heading this up and kind of divvying out the information. So what you have in front of you is a copy of our testing schedule for the year. This will be an initiative that we put in place to help formative assessments and drive student data and student instruction as we go throughout the year. This is all because of our STAR scores that we got last year. It's a little underwhelming. So I'm going to kind of start from the top and start right here and kind of work through this with you. So upon finding the STAR results from last year, they're a little bit lower than we thought, right? Prior to the test, we didn't have any kind of formative assessment set up, so this will be a way for us to be able to progress monitor our students throughout the year. After discussing the findings with my assistant principal, Sally Everson, it came to light that we could improve this plan, or improve what we're already doing rather, by adding formative assessment. So this was kind of a conjoined effort from our admin. So again, after going through all the data, we made the decision to add the formative assessments, and they'll be facilitated in all STAR tested areas, so we don't have to worry about doing regular formative assessments in our elective classes, band, and PE, and all that. So we're just talking about math, English, science, and social studies. By adding formative assessments here, we can be more informed of how the students are performing throughout the year, and also kind of be able to reteach and go back and do anything that we need to help students kind of move forward. The formative assessments are going to be given in a timely manner, so you have at the end of your documents here, you have the ECISD schedule and also the schedule for our formative assessments throughout the year, and they go hand in hand. So all the dates shouldn't line up and should be testing every 6 to 8 weeks or so. Now, I apologize, we got classrooms that are switching, so there are kids outside talking if there's any background noise. But the goal of these formative assessments is to just improve our student achievement, teak by teak. So we're going to be monitoring throughout the year every teak as we go. We're going to be able to gather data and be able to form data folders and be able to track the kids as best as possible. Teachers will also be able to identify which students need tutoring. So I know that all of our teachers have tutoring times that are already set, but now we'll know who needs to show up and who doesn't need to go. Teachers are also going to be able to identify, to minimize constant testing on the kids, because you know how we kind of have like a test to death kind of way like we go about things here. We're only going to be doing this 5 times throughout the year. So we'll do 3 in the fall and 2 in the spring, and we're only doing 2 in the spring because of the STAR test. Right. So that way we're not killing them with it, but we are able to track their progress, right? So we'll do 1 at the beginning of the year, 1 mid-semester in the fall, and then 1 to wrap up kind of around Christmas time in between Thanksgiving. And then the spring ones, we'll just take care of those right when we get back and before the STAR test begins at that time of the year. And kind of like the big deal with this is being able to see the snapshots, and be able to just really see and get into the numbers of the data and see how they did at each step.
So do you know like how different this was from or it's just, from what I'm looking at, it's going to be a lot like smoother from what I can see.
Yeah, I mean, so in this kind of scenario, the previous regime or whatever didn't have any kind of formative assessment tool.
Right.
So that's why we think that the scores are bad. So putting this in is going to be kind of the fix, hopefully.
Gotcha.
An essential key to the success of this plan is by following our state standards, right, and making sure that we're all aligned and that's all good to go. Having the same kind of content vocabulary appearing on the assessments that they get in class, they should be getting in class. Mm-hmm. Although the teachers may be good at, as Ms. Everson said, and what she was talking about, to respect her name, is that she said that the way they didn't do any formative assessments, but they like the teachers would monitor, but they didn't have any data to back it up, and there wasn't really like a tracking system set in place. So this will be that fix. By integrating the state's level standards and level criteria for formative assessments, we know that we're on the road to success by emulating the rigor that's going to be on the STAR test. So just, I mean, the assessments that we're going to be making in-house are going to be the same rigor as the tests that they're going to see at this end of the year. So hopefully this fixes our kind of underwhelming scores that we got. We'll aim to plan our formative assessments throughout the year with the same style of format as the STAR assessment. So again, just kind of mimicking and mirroring the STAR test. And we're going to be able to do this by aligning our standards to as close as the real thing as we can. So we have the most accurate data to be able to assess our students. And as the year progresses, the students will be assessed over the content, right? So as they kind of go through it in their own.
And I think the kids are going to be able to obviously see this stuff, huh?
Yeah. And the idea is that like they have an idea of where they stand throughout the year, so it's not just a surprise when they get late semester or in the start of test.
Right. And is that something that's going to be shown after every assessment or like once every semester?
So the idea is, and we'll get into it here in a second, but we have the teachers. We can just go ahead and skip to that. But so we have the assessment dates. And so there's a date or a deadline for our teachers to be able to like have all their questions in, and then there's a date for the admin to review. So ideally by the end of the time before the next assessment, somewhere in the tail end of that, the kids would have an opportunity to see their scores.
Yeah, that's what I see right here. PLC meetings to be held monthly, review data, and inform instruction. And then they would just like take that to class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get you.
So next thing is our staff test prep, because like the district isn't going to be providing this, and this isn't something that we've outsourced. This is all going to be in-house.
Right.
So returning teachers, when they get back from campus, or from summer break rather, they're going to be going to PDs that help them kind of form assessment questions, be able to kind of mimic the rigor again. Teachers are going to have monthly PLC meetings with district department leaders to help develop assessments, so there's more of a collaborative effort, and it's not just the teachers doing everything. Or at least like putting it all in one teacher, and you're going to get multiple views and eyes on the test before it gets put out for kids. Each grade level team in a content area will write and design their own assessments through collaboration, so that's what I was just talking about. Items on the assessment should mirror the STAR, we talked about that. Grade level difficulty, or grade level teams will receive feedback over their assessments throughout the year, and that's what that data is for our admin to get back to them, to let them know what's good, what's not good, flows, grows, that kind of thing. Prior to assessments, grade level teams will have to submit their assessment in advance, and the dates are on the calendar that you're looking at. Once assessments are approved, the administration team will coordinate with other content areas to create a schedule, and that's what I did, so that none of them like overlap and kids don't take 5 tests in one day, that kind of thing. All right, and then our administration assessment duties, which is just the admin. Prior to testing, the counselor is going to be assigned to create a testing schedule plan that covers the facilitation and accommodations for students to cover all the students' needs. Testing environments are going to mimic STAR.
Let me read that one again.
Okay.
Prior to testing, council will be assigned to create testing.
It's a little wordy.
No, that's okay. All right, I got you.
This means that the student will not be allowed personal electronics. So, I mean, the same thing that we do for map testing.
Right. Like no phone, no Apple Watch.
We'll have bathroom monitors in the halls, and people go around checking. And
so the kids already know, like they're already used to that. It's like that way anyway.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing is just kind of like practicing for the test. But I mean, you don't want to say that.
No, I get it.
Prior to the first year of testing, during a school staff meeting, the counselor will go over the testing procedures and expectations for the formative assessments, just like we do for MAP. She's going to be able to communicate those expectations. Parent communication, parents will be notified via call-outs and social media, because I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like a lot of our parents are on Facebook and checking the Facebook more than other.
Yeah, I think Facebook's the main social media one.
But just trying to get them, or at least communicate to them when the tests are, so we can kind of have their back.
Right.
And, good breakfast and all that kind of thing.
Right.
also using school status, which I don't know if you've used it
Yeah.
recently, but I haven't really used it a whole lot, but
No.
it has a lot of power.
Yeah, like I don't use it a whole lot, but whenever I need to, like you can send messages out pretty good.
Yeah, and it tracks everything too, so there's this like ledger of your communication.
You could even like have it like set like in their planners already, you know, like, or even go through it together. Like these are the days where these assessments come in.
So during the fall open house and meet the teacher night, the admin team will host a brief presentation in the gym that illustrates how the formative assessments will be used and how we're going to be tracking their kid. Going to roll down to the post-assessment duties. So this will be after tests. Assessments will be graded by testing administrators for the class. The admin team will collect the data from the assessments to review and contextualize into a data spreadsheet. So they should be able to have a spreadsheet that they can send to everybody in each department. So like the ELA will get one, science will get one, and they'll be able to look at it as a team during their PLC meetings. The instructional team on campus will prepare PLC meetings to discuss the findings of the assessment and review the results. So we're going to get our admin team a little extra time and be able to, so they can look at and really crunch the numbers.
Yeah, well, I saw in your like schedule you have like 2 weeks from like October. Oh, that's just a week, but that, I mean, that's time, right? Like from the 14th until the next one.
So, and it's just trying to chunk it, so it's not too much on any one party at once, but it's just something that we can do to kind of help this initiative kind of take hold. Teachers will base instructional planning by using this data, so it'll be data-driven instruction. Teachers will begin to design the next formative assessment based on the results of the last one. So they're gonna, instead of just kind of like having it like this chunk, this is what we learned at the beginning, it's gonna kind of be summative, even though we're formatively assessing.
Right.
Through the PLC meeting, teachers and instructional staff will develop grows and glows, this technique to help highlight positive trends that we saw in the data, as well as showing areas of growth that we can improve on in the next formative assessments, or any kind of things that we need to go back and reteach.
Right.
The principal will sit in on PLC meetings if the schedule allows, because you know that Ms. Redmond is a busy woman.
Yeah.
All right, and then at the bottom we have all of our dates.
But in this PLC one, is that like how they do it? This would just be like, is this an everyday thing they're talking about on the PLC, or is it like once a whatever?
So it should be once a month with the admin team.
With the admin team.
But they're gonna meet more regularly. They should be meeting once a week for PLC.
Well, I know they meet a lot for PLC, so they should probably just like at least once a week, like you said, you know, talk about it.
But and kind of a point of emphasis for it too will be to always be going back to the formative assessment data, the map growth data, just kind of anything that we have to make sure that we're moving in the right direction.
Right.
So just going through the assessment dates, or at least the plan for all the dates. Basically, there's 5 different assessments, right?
Right.
3 in the fall, 2 in the spring.
And then, yeah.
But it's every time it's going to go. Teachers working together to create the questions, forming the tests. Then they're going to go to an instructional coach and make sure that they're uploaded.
So it's the teachers that work here are the ones that are putting it together. So they're the ones that know best, like what they need to learn, what they don't know, rather than just like something given to them by the district.
Yeah, well, and hopefully it's the best, right? But if it's not, that's what the admin team is kind of like the catch-all. So that's why they're submitted to them. And again, this will be for each content area. So we'll have 4 teams be doing this. And I think that I'm not sure how the math one works out, but I'm pretty sure that there's a stipend for it with all the core teachers anyways. But once those are submitted to Eduphoria, they're going to review them and kind of see what's good, what's not good. Then they'll go ahead and be administered probably a week or 2 after. And then following that grading period, or that time to take tests, and anybody that missed, that's the grades are going to be due like a week, and we'll pull grades for those, but we'll also keep the data as well. And then the last thing after we get all the grades and everything is just to review the data, and that's when those PLC meetings will be taking place.
Right.
But it's just that's the same routine for every assessment.
And then like in the beginning of the year, how you talked about showing them that PowerPoint or whatever, you know,
Are you talking about like the open house?
Right.
Okay.
Could that be like a spot where you like go over like last year's results? You know,
Yeah.
like, these are our goals for the year.
In the future, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. As the year's going.
But just because they didn't do anything last year, there's not really a whole lot of data to show other than
Right.
the star data that we don't like as much.
Right.
But all those dates go with the ECISD calendar, and that's about it.
So like, I guess my question would be like, how can we make these like dates like super important for these kids? Like I know like in football, like we can just like we give them a schedule, you know,
Yeah. So,
or even like highlight it on the board or like.
are you talking about like
Like-
communicating like well in advance?
Right.
dates? Yeah, we could do that. I think that again, maybe like Facebook or the call outs would be the best way to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean that's really going to be a nice thing to do is just to have that extra support from coming from the homes.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowing that they know when the tests are, the kid knows when the tests are, we know when the tests are, and everybody's
Right.
aptly prepared.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I'm missing anything.
Looks good.
I mean, everything's going to flow throughout the year, and the kids should get used to it after the first or second assessment.
Yeah, for sure.
Just in terms of the routine of it, and then being able again to go back and second see their own data. You know, in that time where teachers are probably going to be in their PLC or right after their PLC, so they have some talking points
Yeah.
in class.
And is this like, this will be a day like where, okay, today, like when we do the math, like the whole school's taking this?
Mhm.
Or, I mean, not the whole school, but like, cause I see you have, like they can take the test between the 3rd and the 7th. Is
Oh.
that up to the teacher, or do they all need to come as a group and like decide I'm taking it this day?
So that's going to be for the counselor.
Oh, okay.
That's one of her duties, but that's what I was talking about, so they don't take like all those tests
Right,
like,
right,
back to
right.
back to back. But
I get what you're saying.
yeah, and I guess to go with that, the other thing too is that they're gonna have to be able to take this in class. Like I don't want to change the whole school schedule just for one social studies test.
Right.
'Cause-
That's, yeah, so it needs to be like on a set date and it needs to be done within that time. I get you.
So
Cause it's not like the school's gonna be shut down for it, it's just like those classes.
right,
I get you.
'cause those days are always hectic, and it's like a throwaway day for the rest of the teacher's instruction. So we're
Yeah.
just gonna take care of it in class and
Yeah.
move on with it. So do you have any other questions?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you for watching. Ugh.